Okay, back again. We're now moving into a brand new course, a course that some of you have heard of before, and this is the course for the MAPI program that most people have been waiting for. And I've been getting lots of requests from you and others who have been taking our Masters of Arts in Apologetics and Polemics to Islam. The 10 courses that we offer, this is number 4. So this is IS 504, which is the one that is my favorite and the one that I pretty much started this whole program, this master's program. It was because of this course and this material, The Origins of Islam. That's it. That's the name, The Origins of Islam. Now, obviously, when I'm talking about the origins, I'm really talking about the 3 areas. These are the areas that you've seen on Fander Films. These are the areas that the sin sifters, those of us who have been tackling, or the different groups, different researchers around Europe, the different researchers around Europe and other places. These are the areas that we have been really engaging with. So this is the course that introduces all this new material. Now, I will be the teacher. I will be the lecturer for all 8 lectures. We're beginning on the 30th of this month, Monday, the 30th of January, starting at 8 o'clock in the evening and going till 10 p.m. That's Eastern Standard Time, like we always do in all of our courses. Always on a Monday. And we'll be going for 8 weeks. So from January 30th up till March 20th, every Monday night. The lectures will be going for around 2 hours. I will be here in my office, or if I'm traveling, I'll be wherever I find an internet location, always using Zoom webinar. The reason why is so that you can, doesn't matter where you are in the world, doesn't matter what time it is, you can always see these lectures. And it's important that you do that because this is for you. This is really for you. This is this is for us to come to you to help you, walk you through this exciting new area of research. How did Islam really begin? You've all been told that it began with a man named Muhammad, living in a place called Mecca, receiving a book called the Qur'an. That's what you've been told. That's what I've been told. That's what everybody is told. That's the only narrative that is out there. We're going to confront that, and we're going to do so in 8 weeks. We're going to confront it starting with an introduction, and the first lecture will be just that. Now, those of you who sign up, and you do need to sign up, you need to look right here at the bottom. Go take a look and you'll see I will put there the email you need to go to. It's very simple. You just need to email info@ves.edu. info@ves.edu. And ask to register. Ask to register for this course, IS 504, or The Origins of Islam. Let me go through and show you the different lectures, give you an overview of each of the lectures so you know what is it we'll be getting into and what you will be receiving. The first Monday on the 30th of this month, so we're just talking a few weeks from now. That's why you do need to register. The first Monday, I will be introducing the whole course itself, and I'll be going through the 8 different lectures, unpacking and showing you why is it and where we're going and what we plan to do. And then I'll be talking about the problems with this whole area of research. Why is it that we're even questioning it? Why is it that we even need to go back to the 7th century and the 8th century? Why is it we don't trust the 9th and the 10th century traditions that speak about how Islam began? So we're going to put out the problem there to begin with. We're going to show you why Muslims have not engaged on this material and at this level. And then I'm going to introduce the major players, because it's not me, it's not you, it's not even the sin sifters that are really pushing this. It's people like Robert Spencer. We'll be looking at his book, Did Muhammad Even Exist? This is one of the books that is on the reading list. We'll be looking at this book that's just come out this year, Stephen J. Shoemaker, his book on creating the Qur'an. Yes, creating the Qur'an. It did not exist prior to the 7th century or even the 8th century. We'll be looking at the real classic piece, Seeing Islam as Others Saw it, by Robert J. Hoyland. And I'll be introducing this in the first lecture. Who are these guys? Why is it their book? This is a huge book, and this is the newest one that's just come out in the last 2 years. And then we'll be also looking at this book, The Early Islamic Qiblas, by Dan Gibson. But there are other books that I could introduce. We'll talk about Tom Holland's In the Shadow of the Sword, Karl Heinz Ohlig's Early Islam, Yehuda Nevo and Judith Corin's Crosswords to Islam, the Ibn Warak's In the Quest of the Historical Muhammad, and Fred Donner's Muhammad and the Believers. Those are other books that are recommended but not required reading for those who are taking it as a master's degree level. So I will be introducing that and then be going through who are the other major players who haven't read, whose books I've not just introduced, but who are absolutely important because of all the amazing research that they have given us that we are using for this course. The second week, which would be the second Monday, which would be February the 6th, we will then introduce the three major areas that this course is going to follow. The first area is Mecca itself. And we will be doing 2 lectures on Mecca, followed by 2 lectures on Muhammad, followed by 2 lectures on the Quran. So book, the man, the place. But I'll be doing it backwards, starting with the place, then the man, and then the book. There's a reason for that. So the second week will be on Mecca itself. And we'll be looking at what they claim about Mecca. We'll be looking at also some of the geographical problems, some of the topographical problems with Mecca, looking at the trade routes, critiquing them, asking why is it that water is so important in this whole dialogue or this whole debate. And then we're going to look at the historical claims for Mecca, and I'm going to debunk every one of them. And there's quite a few of them, and there's new ones that are raising their heads all the time. Those I will debunk. So there's an awful lot happening the second week on February the 6th. On February the 13th, now, Monday, the third lecture will be the second Meccan lecture. And there we're going to look at Dan Gibson's on the Qibla itself. And we're going to ask and see what he has found. What does he now know? What are we going to do with Petra? And we're then going to look at the debate between Dan Gibson and Dr. David King, who was the world authority on the Qibla. We're going to look at that debate and unpack it and help you understand why is it that many of the scholars in academia are having a real problem with this new research. And we're going to show you why they're having a problem and what they're doing about it. And we're showing how hopeless their defense is. So that will be the third week on February the 13th. On February the 20th, we're then going to bring up Muhammad himself, and we're going to start 2 lectures on Muhammad. The first one, Muhammad, is looking at the claims that the Muslims make about him, and then we're going to open up the damaging material about Muhammad. And I'm going to spend a good bit of time looking at coins, including ones that I have right here. These are some of the coins that we're going to look at. So I own some of these coins. And the reason why we're looking at coins is because they don't spoil, they don't deteriorate, they don't disintegrate. They are as pristine today as the day they were minted. And that's why they're so easy to use. We'll be looking at this one right here. This one is hugely damaging. You can't see it too clearly. I'll put it up and I'll make a larger, show you in a little larger form. But this is an actual coin. This is a copper coin that shuts down any notion that there were Muslims that existed, or that Muhammad existed in the 7th century. We're going to be looking at some of the gold soliduses, like this one here. This is a gold solidus. This is an actual coin, and it is quite expensive. That's why I have to be careful that I don't throw it away or lose it. But we're going to unpack it and show you what it says and why we can now look and see the writing. The writing is absolutely important because it gives us a window into what was happening in the late 7th century. I'm not going to tell you that. You're going to have to take the class or sit on the lectures to hear what we're now finding. We'll then move over and look at the rock inscriptions. Rock inscriptions are like the coins. They don't disintegrate, they don't deteriorate, and they give us a window, an eye into what was really happening in that part of the world and at that time in the 7th century. So that will be on the 20th. The next week, which will be the 27th, we'll do the second part, which will be lecture 5, looking at Muhammad again, but now we're going to look at the quest for the 7th century Muhammad. We're going to ask, where is this man Muhammad? Where is, and I'm not just looking at Muhammad, I'm looking really at Islam itself. Where is this religion called Islam? Where are these people called Muslims? Where exactly is the origins of Islam? We're going to look at the Jerusalem thesis. This is a whole new area of studying. Paul Ellis, I might bring him on board to actually unpack some of it for us, since he's been the one who's probably done the best work on it. And then we're going to look at the claims that Muslims have come back with us. These are the claims that they have made, supporting the fact that they believe Muhammad did exist, and I'm going to debunk every one of them. Oh, that's going to be so much fun. So that's the 27th. From there, we'll go to March, and this will be the 6th lecture on March 6th itself. And there is, in March, we're then moving into the Qur'an. And the Qur'an is huge. It's such a big subject. So I have reserved 2 weeks to cover all that we have on the Qur'an. The first lecture will look at the claims that Muslims make about the Quran, also what they say now versus what they said in the very beginning. We'll be moving into how the Quran was put together, what are the 2 compilations, starting with the Islamic narrative, which is the tradition, the Standard Islamic Narrative that we always talk about, SIN, and then and ask, let's see what they say, and then we're going to shoot it to pieces. How? Well, we're going to do something that I love to do, and that is we're going to look at the evidence on the ground. As I've always said, give me evidence on the ground. Don't just give me things that are hearsay, that are spoken hundreds of years later and redacted back. I want to know what exactly happened then. We're going to unpack the Qira'at and the Ahruf argument. This is the most damaging for the preservation of the Quran. This is the one that was really introduced. This argument was introduced by my colleague Hatun Tash, and we may bring her in to actually as a guest speaker and on that lecture. The following week, then the 13th of March, which will be the penultimate week, the penultimate lecture, there we're going to then really dive in and do a deep dive, as Yasser Qadi always likes to say, do a deep dive into the manuscripts themselves. We're going to unpack the major manuscripts. We're going to date them. We're going to show you how is it you can date them. We're going to actually look at some of the difficulties with the variants that are in the manuscripts. We're going to show you how is it you can respond to Muslims when they say, these are all 7th century manuscripts, and they are exactly the same Quran that we have in our hand today is what you see on these manuscripts. We're going to shut that argument right down. It's going to be fun doing that. We'll look at the 4,000 early consonantal variants. We'll look at the 6 major manuscripts. We'll look at the 63 earliest extant fragments that Muslims claim. And then we're going to really look at some of this newest research that's just come out this year by Dr. Stephen Shoemaker. Very important what he has come up with, and what he is doing is kind of an overview of all the latest research on the Quran. So that is the 7th week, which will be March the 13th. We end then with the 8th week, which is on March the 20th. And on that week, I'm going to look and conclude and bring everything together. I'm going to bring the book, the man, and the place. We're going to unpack it and say, well, what then really did happen? How did Islam really begin? From what the evidence is. I only want to look at the evidence. On that day, I'm going to pull it all together and come to conclusions on how we, in 2023, this year, what we now know about how Islam began. And I'm going to end off with showing you why these arguments are probably the strongest arguments, the most powerful arguments, the most critical arguments for us to use in ministry with Muslims, because we're finding many Muslims leaving Islam over these arguments, because it shuts down any notion that there was a book called the Qur'an, or a man named Muhammad, or a religion called Islam, or people called Muslims in the 7th century at all. Listen, this is a course for you. Now, I've talked about the fact that this is a master's degree course. It's taught at a master's degree level. We are aiming it for that level for a purpose, because we want people to get master's degrees. And so for those who want to take it at a master's degree level, you will have to pay $330 per edit hour. This course is 3 credits, so that is roughly $990, or just roughly around $1,000 for this course. And what that means is you have to sit in all the lectures. We're expected you don't have to be live, because this is all going to be Zoom webinar, and then I'm recording each lecture and then sending it out to you. If you're registered, you will get this lecture the very next day, and the PowerPoints to go with it. Everybody wants the PowerPoints, because that's where the pictures are, that's where the graphs are, that's where the timelines are, that's where the maps are. You want this, you want to use it, you want to be able to use it for your own ministries when you do your own teaching. These are your PowerPoints. You can use them as you will. We give them to you because you have registered for this course. So you don't have to necessarily be there to hear the lectures live, other than the fact that you won't be able to ask me questions, because after we do the lecture 2 hours, I then open up to Q&As. In fact, I may even do Q&As as we're going along, so that people who are live can throw questions at me, and I will be on the hot seat to be able to defend or unpack or support or explain if there are any questions. Now, there are many of you who are listening to me who don't want to take this as a master's degree course. You're not interested in getting a master's degree, but you want to learn the material. You want to hear the lectures. You want to get the PowerPoints as well. And you also want to share in the discussions with all the master's students that are taking the course all 8 weeks. Therefore, you can be an audit student. And an audit student only needs to pay $280 for the whole course, for the entire course. $280 for the 8 weeks. You get the same things that the master students get. You can also participate in the discussions during the week on Populi. That's all there for you. And you also have access to me because of the fact that I'll be there at every one of the lectures responding to your questions. But there are those who don't really want to participate in the discussions. They just want to listen to the lectures and receive the PowerPoints. And you may be fast asleep. You may be in Europe. You may be in the Far East while we're having our lectures from 8 to 10 in the evening here on the East Coast. For people like you, you will wake up the next morning or the next day or the day after, and you will pull down the video of the recording, watch it in your own time whenever you want to, and you'll get the PowerPoint to use in your own ministries. And you don't really care about all the discussions that are going on during the week. So for you, you have and only come in as a personal enrichment student. That's a third category, personal enrichment. And you only pay $200 for the entire course. So we have 3 different tranches. Those who are getting it for a degree, if you're taking it for a degree, you have to write the papers, you have to also do the tests, you also have to sit and you have to do a discussion on what you have read and also the lectures. So there is material work that you have to do. The audit students, no, there's no work you have to do. You can just sit and watch and participate. You can sit and type and engage with the discussions during the week, but you're there mainly to listen to the lecture and get the PowerPoints. And then the personal enrichment, you're not even part of the discussion. You're just there to listen to the lectures, and you're there to also get the PowerPoints. So for those who are master's degree students who are taking this for credit to get a master's degree, it will cost about $1,000 for this course. For those who are just an audit $280. And those who just want it as personal enrichment, it's only $200. But you need to register and you need to pay before we start the course, before the 30th of this month, January. Now, we do know that if you are late, that's fine. You will still be allowed into the course, even if you're for 1 or 2 weeks late. You need to email down below. This is a Zoom webinar course, and that's why it comes once a week. We do all our courses this way, and it comes to you. Wherever you are in the world, you can take this Origins of Islam, IS 504. That's the advantage. This course is the foundation for all of our MAPI programs. This is the most exciting. This is the one I like to do the best. This is the one that I really created the entire program for. This course, IS 504. It starts on January the 30th and goes to March the 20th. As many of you as can, join with us. Now I will say, you have to be a Christian. You have to be a Christian. I have to say this every time, and some of you get upset, but this is a seminary that I'm teaching at. Veritas International University is a seminary. Therefore, you have to be a Christian to take the course. If you believe that Jesus is your Lord and Savior and that he died on the cross to save you, you can take the course. If you're a humanist or an atheist, if you're a Muslim, you are not permitted to take this course. Okay? That's the only caveat. And all the rest of you, though, come on board. Let's dig in and let's get started in just a few weeks. January the 30th, Monday night at 8 o'clock. I hope to see as many of you there as possible. All right then, this is Jay, over and out.